Okay, we're here to talk about NaNoWriMo. Since the last episode, we were saying that we were going to talk about our experience with NaNoWriMo. And now that November is done, we can officially talk about the experience. Woo! Yay!
Yay! Happy December.
Happy December. Gosh, it's already December.
Yeah, and everything is white outside, everything is snowing, at least here in my northern hemisphere.
Yeah, you were saying it's snowing. When did it start snowing?
Yesterday it was all icy, but there was no snow. And
Ooh.
last night it must have snowed because everything is white, and it's not like powder snow; it's
Ooh.
actual snow. And I'm going to publish some pictures later on Instagram so that we can see them.
Oh, awesome. So that means like you can already create snowmen and stuff like that.
I wouldn't be so sure about that. Well, you probably can, but not in my parking spot.
Oh, I see, I see. I'm always tempted to make snowmen whenever it snows officially, like actual
Yeah.
legit snow that doesn't melt whenever you try to touch it. So
I
that's always
will
cool, right?
I will wait until next week if it's hopefully there's snow in Germany and then I can do something with my nieces.
That's true. And then the UK snow would be like, Yvonne didn't do anything to us. We're all just mush now. Bah.
Well, the cat has fun. It's not my cat,
Oh,
it's the
wait.
neighbor's cat, but when I was making pictures this morning, she was running all over the pictures. So,
Oh, that's so adorable. Okay, anyway, I'm totally off topic. Yeah, we were talking about our writing.
yes, and I'm so proud of you because you made a huge step forward and you now have also the December challenge. Maybe you want to say something about that later on as well.
Yeah, that's true. Like, so November was kind of like weird, where
That's
essentially
just
there were
because
a
you got
bunch.
distracted by a certain someone.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Aka, the Loki
So
show.
exactly. So, for those of you who don't already know me, who's listening to this podcast, I'm a huge fan of Loki. And if you don't know who Loki is, then I'm judging you. Just kidding. So, anyone who doesn't know the show, it's from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So, they had season two recently in November. Well, October, I guess, and then November. Wait, I can't remember. But anyway, and then the finale was around like the second week or the first week of November. So ever since that happened, I was kind of cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs because the finale was crazy. But anyway, no spoilers. It's amazing. And yeah, that kind of sidetracked me a lot.
But you found your way back, and I can't wait to have them, to have
Did
your
I?
fun.
I don't know if
Well,
I'm
we'll
ever
always
finding
be
my way
back,
back.
but I noticed like usually you get very distracted with, oh, my drawing mood, I really want to draw my characters right now. And like yesterday you said, no, I really want to write this scene now. So your mind is doing some changes. It's going to get pulled at the minute more towards writing.
Yeah. I suppose so. Yeah, that's true. And the fact that I'm starting to actually understand some of the characters while I'm writing that,
Hmm.
I think maybe that's also helping too. But at the same time, the more I understand them, the more I don't understand them. So it's kind of a dilemma, really.
Well, in the end, they always do what they want to.
Yeah, they're like living people. It's
Yeah.
really frustrating sometimes. Yeah. What about you? So, how was your experience? I'm proud of you too. You did so much.
I did so
You
much,
had a little
but
large sigh there.
but nothing like straightforward. It's like collective.
Oh, tell me
It's,
about it.
it's pieces of a massive jigsaw that doesn't fit together because I threw in four jigsaws all together and wonder which pieces belong to each other. That's kind of my problem.
Oh man, I understand the situation too, because even though it was one story for me, it was still kind of little pieces of jigsaw puzzles
Mm.
too. So I totally get it.
Yeah. And in a way, I knew that from the beginning because I was prepared. Okay, come, you have three pseudonyms, three pen
Hmm.
names, so you're going to write three stories. That was the thing I was prepared for. And then one of the stories felt like, I don't really know if it belongs to that pen name or should it be on another pen name. Should it be in another language? Should it be bigger? Should it not be? Then I got really distracted, just like you, by other stuff and was suddenly, oh, okay, I really want to listen to musical and maybe there's an option of writing my own musical rather than a book. And then I was like, oh, but next week is the Game Awards, and you might finally see the next game from BioWare coming. So I was kind of sidetracked there, and I was like, okay, how do I get back to that? And then I said, okay, focus on one pseudonym and just get the words in. And then nothing worked anymore.
So, just out of curiosity, you said 3. Out of the 3 pseudonyms, which one was the one that you found most easy to think about, and which one was the one that was most hard to think about or devise a plan or strategy for it, for
It's been
NaNoWriMo?
the thing is, it's been like this whole year. Maybe it's because when you can't go properly out and do some exercises, and your mind is constantly, your entire body is just using your mind with work, with my day job, with worries of how my health is, with creative writing, with drawings. Everything is in my head, and I can't get. For the longest time this year, I couldn't get out of it, and
Were you
so
having an
and so
identity crisis?
the thing was, every time I got a new idea, I was like, oh, but this doesn't fit this pen name. It's rather somewhere on the other pen names, and so it was constantly changing around, and that happened a lot on Ria. So where the romances are, I call them romances now rather than the more spicy stuff. That word was used far too often in the first episode.
That's
So
true.
let's call them romances now. So that was actually the only one that was kind of straightforward, and I didn't had any second thoughts on that one. But the other ones kind of took, because I got so sidetracked and had the problem between deciding between Edith and Kent, between German and English, between crime and fantasy, and suddenly it got all mushed up, and I couldn't really discuss this with anyone because it was really confusing to me too. It's now so mushed up that I actually consider doing like we do write some stories together, like a collaboration, that's the word. And I'm actually thinking
Right.
of making this musical idea a collaboration between Edith and Kent, writing it in 2 languages at the same time, because it has because it's too fantasy for Edith, but it's too big to not have it on Kent. I don't know if that makes sense.
I see. So, sorry,
And
this is a
on
really odd thing for me to say, I guess, but you have 3 different identities who have
yeah,
different personalities, aka genres, and then there's you. So you're like the big boss, and the other 3 are like literal pieces of you. And
yeah.
then these 2 individual people are trying to write a musical because you think that they're gonna be a good combo. And then,
I don't know if
yeah.
there will be. That will be still a thing for the future. But yeah, even, and also in itself, that didn't behave. It's not like, okay, well then, while I have this thought, can I just focus on that Edith story? No, because that's actually the Edith story that it was in the original one. So I cannot actually write something else now. And on Kent, it was like, okay, but I still have Asra that I can write, or I could go back to the Moira. And it was like, you have no project that ever finishes because everything is so big. People are going to make you, well, and that is the highest regard, but let's if we skip the highest regard and just pick the worst things about these two authors, like Brandon Sanderson has a universe that never stops, and George R. R. Martin has a book verse that never comes to finish. So in a way, they're both really bad because one is too quick and writes everything, and the other one is too slow for making the final chapter. And I'm like both, and nothing comes into fruition. There's nothing, okay, come here, have a book to read so that you know why you're actually waiting for me to do this all. So then there crawled another idea into my mind saying, okay, let's just for once, just do a standalone and finish something.
Yeah, I know that I totally understand the dilemma you're going through though, to be fairly honest. I don't have the whole pseudonym like turmoil that you have. Like I have a different type of crisis on my hands where essentially it's like I have one single individual who has a bunch of different stories, and then each story has their own world, and then their different characters, and then how their timelines and their stories are supposed to work and web and thread together. And then if by any chance you don't, I don't know, I mean, you need a little bit of time to actually create something generally, and to even think about it, and you need the energy to do it, and then you need to have the right mood and circumstances, I guess, too. And that really kind of affects a lot of the way you write. At least that's how I feel. And like, especially with me, I need music to really get motivated to be in that particular like place in time, especially with Fatal. And also even the music itself has to be like atmospheric, moody, and sort of dark as well.
If it
So if
suddenly
I'm
has
not listening
lyrics,
to
you
that,
start singing rather than writing.
not really actually. I don't know. Is that the same for you? Do you
That
actually start
happens,
singing
yeah.
it?
I have playlists for writing, and when there are songs in there that I really really like, then I start just
Mm,
singing them,
I see.
which is bad for writing.
I mean, that's totally fine, you know,
Yeah, but
especially
not if
like,
it
okay,
takes you out.
yeah, I suppose so. But the music that you listen to is it more light and like less of a dark or moody kind of lyrics and more
That
upbeat
depends on
and
the project.
hmm. The
So
ones that you start singing though.
that also depends.
Okay, okay.
Because sometimes I sing to a metal version of some song, and other times
Right.
it's a classical piece.
I
So
just
it can be
imagined you
anything.
swinging your head around. Oh my goodness.
So sometimes I
I
didn't have
can't get
to
any
drop the
writing
play.
plans.
Sometimes I just have to drop the whole playlist and just type in actual writing playlist, and so use something from someone else, where it's
Right, right,
just the
right.
music.
Yeah, but sometimes, you know, books have lyrics too. So if the lyrics actually match with what you're trying to like write,
Yeah, but
and if it makes sense, I guess.
You always have to be careful about rights with that. You cannot actually use every song.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
can
True, true,
use some
true.
traditional ones, but yeah.
Sorry, what I meant to say is let me actually explain what I was
Mhm.
thinking about right now. So there's this book that I read when I was a kid, or a teenager, I guess,
Mhm.
and it was this Russian book called The Night Watch. And in those books, so the writer, I think he was actually writing his own lyrics into the actual story, where
Oh.
essentially it was really cool. The so there's a few lyrics that the character would be listening to, and then to
Mm.
be honest, every time I finish a book I would always be curious as to what the actual rhythm of the book, the lyrics might be.
Mm.
So when I'm reading them I actually have this. So how it works is that in this book the character is going through a bunch of series of events that can be like, how do you call it, the stakes are high, right?
Mm.
And then while he's going through those emotions, like he's also listening to these lyrics to try to relax, or maybe it's actually heightening the mood of what he's feeling while he goes through some situations. And then when you're reading it, you actually almost have this, you kind of find your own rhythm when you're listening to it. So I don't know
Mm.
if this helps with your situation, but maybe you could technically create your own lyrics while you're listening to that music and then sort of fill it in. Or even if it doesn't work, you could sort of fill in the lyrics you like and then later totally change it, not use the same thing, but totally change it when you come back to it later.
Yeah, for some projects probably works, but not for everything. Not every character is a
Hmm.
singer, also.
Yeah, I know, right?
But
Well,
sometimes
he
it's
wasn't a
funny to,
singer, the character
but
itself, but
but sometimes it's funny to think what your character would do with a certain like what would be their karaoke song, what would be their Olympic sport if they would do anything, or would they just be the interviewer? Sometimes these things are funny. As I sometimes think about um, when I think about Moira and the Souls characters and the the American twins and all of them, because they are also in so many countries and different
mm,
timelines. How do they spend their Christmas? Because it changes so much during the time.
yeah. I was just imagining all your characters like those trading cards that were shown in the Harry Potter movie is like, so there's the photos and then you turn the back and you kind of read their small profiles. I
Oh,
feel like that would be like an easy way to, or rather sort of not so easy, a digested version of what your characters might be like.
well, if I use any card, then you already designed some, so
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true. Like the
it,
tarot cards that I made.
yeah, it comes the time of year now when I have your Tumblr fan page open and check things out, and that usually gets me. But sometimes I
Oh.
also need to stay away from it if I work on another project.
Yeah, that's true. But hopefully that page actually inspires you to actually want to
All the time,
stay focused on that.
all the time.
And and sometimes I don't know, staying focused on one particular story is definitely important, but at the same time, if you're inspired to do something else and you have to write it down in the heat of the moment, that's also important, I think.
Yeah, and it can help against the writer's block because if you're stuck on one,
Yeah.
you can just move to another one. I
Yeah,
just
that's
find if I
true.
have too many, like if I have my three, that's fine. But if I have more than that, it's like, okay, no. Where am I actually on right now? Because you also lose
Right.
track on where did I stop? What was my break? How do I
Hmm.
get back into that story?
When you write, just out of curiosity, are you kind of one of those writers where essentially they have an idea and then they kind of go in a spree moment where all of these ideas they come to you in one single surge, and then after a while the fire starts to kind of go down, and then you're like, okay, so what do I do next? Because that's what happened with me with Fatal, and then I had to like stop for a minute, maybe
Yeah,
not a minute, a few years.
my problem
Sorry, go ahead.
comes after chapter. It depends on the length of the book, but after chapter 3 to 7, something in between. Usually, 7 is usually the last that I get in the first setting, and then it comes to that writing block. That's usually this amount of chapters, 3 to 7, is
Mm.
when my beginning ends and I come to that middle. And after the beginning, I'm stuck. I'm like, okay,
I see.
is the pace okay? Are the characters interesting enough?
Do you
Yeah.
always write endings just out of curiosity, or is it always just beginnings?
No, when I'm after that break that I need after that, I can write the whole thing from the middle and the end in one. Well, not on one day, but
Mm.
it will always pull me back. But in the first
Mm.
act, it's like there's so many worries about the stories. Like I worry so much about all these things that don't even matter in that moment, especially or in the first draft. You don't know what the
Right.
readers will think of it, and there will always be those that hate it. You know all these things, and then you sit there and think, yeah, but will they like this character? Is it fast enough? Do we spend enough time here? Is it actually the correct point of view? Should I do the whole thing over and do another point of view? And you know that. I've done that several times.
Yeah, I understand, and I've seen that definitely. And I'm kind of the same too, except for one small thing, which is I don't really care if people don't like my characters or not. Like that, I feel like it's too much to think about. As long as I'm like comfortable with the characters I write about, I don't give a do 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 do
It's
do.
more like the pace on how the story
Hmm.
flows with that character. Because there's a
Hmm.
reason why you chose this character, and it already has your love and your support, and you know it. But there's still the way of how can you make them come across. And if a
Right.
story is too slow, from a reader's point of view, you might just put it away because it wasn't your thing. And
That's true.
I'm definitely not one that can jump in to it and just make it action from the first page on. I need everything slow.
That's not a bad thing at all. I think that's actually really exciting at some readings, and as long as like it actually adds up to something that the readers like are really interested in reading
Yeah,
at
but
the end of the day.
I think that comes from my own experience. I like everything slow, also reading. But the first time that I read The Lord of the Rings, I was so bored. Not by the entire books, because I made it through that first initial draft. The finished not draft, but the I was sitting there and I was like, why do they not start their journey? How many things can they do in that village before they finally go? And this is bad when you first saw the movie, because then it goes all quickly. Nowadays, I appreciate this part, and I like it, and I read the Tolkien books again, and I now I'm also older, read more books, and I appreciate what a genius that man was. But when I
Hmm.
was younger and I just came out, saw the first movie, and my aunt gave me the books and said, they are so much better, I was sitting there, I can't get out of the village because they are not moving.
That's so
It's
true.
like when you're in
Yeah.
a role play game and you don't meet that NPC that helps you getting to the next level. It's like you're stuck there.
Oh. Yeah, I mean, I don't know about. I'm sorry, I can't really relate with the NPC part because I'm usually pretty intrigued with what the NPC's character might be like, actually. But but I totally get you with Lord of the Rings because I remember watching that movie and then I'm like, oh, it's so interesting. The journey is so cool. It's fast paced and it's like dun 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 next next next, right? And there's like the ticking bomb with the ring and everything.
Yeah.
So it's always so exciting and you get introduced to all these different characters. It's not just focused on the hobbits itself for an entire hour or anything, right?
Mm.
But yeah, and to be fairly honest, I haven't really read The Lord of the Rings since I read it at school, so I can't really tell from memory how the book started and how it ended up how it ended up going into the journey itself. But I do remember it was slow. But yeah,
Yeah.
I totally get you. Yeah. Sometimes it's just kind of nicer to have that slowness to the point where you actually get to the action later. And
Mm.
then there are some moments where I'm like, yeah, like for example, to compare, there's a book called The Martian where the single line is just so funny and you immediately get dragged into like the chaos of the character's situation where they're literally about to die. So
Mm.
yeah, it's like a bit of both.
Yeah.
I totally get you. With that though, like I don't know, maybe I like both. If it's like historical, I think I'm okay with slow. What about you?
I think if I would just read one thing all the time, I would get bored of it. I need that
Mm,
um, different books, different styles. Otherwise, I wouldn't have
right.
3 pseudonyms if I would be doing all the same things all the time. And also books are not like a template, and you can, okay, here's my checkpoint list. Let's do all these
Hmm.
things.
Yeah, that would be really weird.
So no, there are so many ways. And that's so funny about NaNoWriMo that you now hear from every corner, oh, I finished this draft, or I'm going to be writing this idea because I had this great, great idea coming now. You hear that in this time so much. And for a time that otherwise is so dark, and I hear at work so many people talk about depression, and then you come
Mm,
out of it and you come just to your little writing corner on the internet, and everyone is talking ideas, and that is I find that really inspiring as well. Even in years when I didn't write, it was just great to listen to other people and see their
mm.
excitement for their characters and stories.
Yeah, that's true. Sorry, just so I'm clear, when you say
Yeah,
ideas, you mean like new ideas or current ideas or?
everything. Like I have a friend who decided yesterday after NaNoWriMo ended, oh, I'm going to write a romance novel. I have another one who still struggles to find the time to get her idea down because she just started a new job. The other one has, after 8 years of NaNoWriMo, finally finished her first draft. Um, so they are
Congrats to
all
that.
different. Yeah. Oh. Oh, she has finished it. She has won NaNoWriMo every single year, but it wasn't the book that she actually thinks, okay, this is the one I'm going to publish. And she had this idea, the one that she wants to publish. She had this in her head for years, but she was too scared to write that one. So this last year she started, and then this year was NaNoWriMo. She finished the final draft. She's so exhausted yesterday.
That's awesome. Oh man. Now she's going into the next stage, which is editing, huh?
Yeah.
Which is, yeah, just as much of a challenge, I believe. But
Oh,
yeah, I
so
actually
much.
think editing will be really fun too.
I would be really interested to hear what way of editing you use and what helps you, because again, I use different versions for different stories.
Maybe you can elaborate on that.
Yeah, okay. Um, when I write the romances, I don't do really much, and when I do the German ones, then I I read them out loud. I record them, which afterwards I have no voice anymore because it takes so long. But then I listen to it, and then, oh, you're missing a word here, or the sentence makes no sense in the way that you just just read that out loud. What was that? Go back to it.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
And with Kent, I make the most horrible decision because I struggle with editing in English, and that's why also with the romances I don't do as much. It's mostly just reading over.
Hmm.
But it's not. I struggle with editing in English. Maybe it's because it's not my first language.
Hmm.
So I sit down and translate it, which is horrible. It takes so long.
Right.
But at the same time, you already have 2 versions then. But I don't. When I translate it, it's not. I don't translate it word by word. I
Hmm.
can then go freer, and then I translate it back to English and have my version.
Hmm. Right, right, right. And that for you it makes sense, right, to actually translate it.
Oh, it makes sense, but it's way easier when it's a short story than a book.
Right.
It's madness to translate a book.
I mean, everyone has their own process, right?
Kudos to everyone kudos to everyone who does it as a job. It's a massive task.
Yeah, true. Yeah, I mean, translating anything in general, I feel like, especially because there's something that's already been written and the readers can read it in English, for example, and they would find perfection in that or something intriguing or provocative in that particular way they write. And then you actually have to translate it in a different language that has the same nuance of what it is and make it just as similar and emotional. That is really hard, I think, and
Yeah, in
challenging and
that way,
anxiety
it's
inducing for me.
yeah, that's true. But in that way, it might be easier because it's my own writing. And
Right.
the first one, when I first translated from English to German,
Hmm.
it's a mess. It's an utter mess. So everything I do is cleaning up.
Right.
And then translating it back, I also make changes again.
Right,
But I
right, right.
can't go through 7 times the same text and just read. I,
Mhm.
when I check out other authors how they do it, and they post, "Oh, I've been through this the 7th time, and I marked it all up." I don't know how to do that. I don't know if you also lose your your interest in the story if you read it over and over again.
Yeah, that kind of reminds me of video editing, where essentially you're looking at the same clip over and over and over and
Yeah,
over. There's no alternative except maybe
yeah,
unless you edit it this way or edit it that way, but then
mm,
maybe it changes the whole entire timeline or story, right?
yeah.
So, yeah.
What I do like is when I send it to a professional
Hmm.
after I do my rounds, because I know it's not my first language, so I make mistakes and just want to be sure.
Mhm.
So I send it to an editor as well, and they make their comments on it as well. And then
Right.
it's already a first feedback as well,
Mhm.
which is great because then you because there may be things that you missed.
Right. Yeah, that's true. And do you feel intimidated by it or are you okay with it in general?
And the very first time I did, and the very first time I did, um, because also the very first time was a short story that no one really understood what I was saying. Was it?
Mm.
Not every story of mine has this massive meaning, um, but this one was really close to my heart, and so I was really protective of it, a bit of overprotective as well. So, but at that time I had a friend editing it, so we talked about this for hours on this short story, and but now I'm more comfortable sending it to other people, and I still have to do that with Kent, sending a whole book to an editor. That will be rough, but I'm not there yet. I worry about that when I'm there. Also, finding the right person for it, because sometimes it just doesn't click.
Hmm. Yeah, that's true.
I know I picked one for a romance, and then they said I read through it, and no, I'm not the right author for the. I'm not the right editor for this. You need to find someone else.
Hmm. Right, right. It's almost like going into a relationship with someone.
Yeah, it is.
Hmm. So yeah, as long as you find the right person that actually kind of clicks with you, then that works, I think.
Yeah.
And
So
hopefully
I
that
need
is
I
the
need
case.
three.
Yeah, that's true. Unless that person, that particular editor you find, is actually going to click with everything. You never know.
Yeah, but if they do, then they will have no time.
Yeah, that's true. But you never know. Maybe they're three-headed people.
Yeah,
Maybe.
just give me a three-headed dog.
Why do you need a
I just
dog
travel to Tartarus
specifically?
and steal a dog.
Well, a speaking dog, then. That would be really cute. It's like Fluffy. Was it Fluffy from Harry Potter?
Yeah.
What's he hiding? What's he guarding? That's true. Oh. So, apart from the challenges that you had in NaNoWriMo, what was the
Yeah.
actual, like, really positive thing that you got out of this particular NaNoWriMo this year?
Um, that I
Hopefully you had one.
know that I had some this whole year. I was like, oh God, I can't write many words anymore
Hmm,
because I can't
right.
focus for that long. But in
Yeah.
the last in the second half of NaNoWriMo, when I thought, oh no, it's all lost, I'm never going to get this. Then I suddenly sat down and wrote like 10K days. And I was like, okay, yeah, I still got it. I can do this.
That's amazing.
So yeah, and that was really incredible, and that gives me hope for achieving something next year for getting stuff done.
For sure. And I really wanted to achieve the 50K. By the way, I forgot to mention at the beginning that I didn't actually win NaNoWriMo, but I did actually end up getting a lot of awards in for Fatal, which is the Victorian era book that I mentioned in the first episode. So that was a win.
That is the one thing that counts, just getting words in and making progress on your story.
True. And also for me personally with Fatal, like I know Yvonne, I've been mentioning it quite a few times, like on our chats, but just for the episode's sake, I would mention that Fatal used to be like something that I wrote in 2020, and I was kind of going through a moment, and that was just my way of getting through the whole stupid COVID that was going on and other stuff in general. And yeah, ever since the little streak that I had when I started writing it, and then I had like a writer's block officially. And I had to kind of leave it for a little bit, come back to it every so often, leave it. And usually I would always be inspired in October because of the spooky season.
It's just because it's darker time, it's darker
I
mood
think
for that
so.
story. I
Yeah.
totally get that. You can't write, well, I always feel like you can't write a Victorian one in the middle
I
of
can try.
August. It needs to get,
I can try.
you need to sit down, get cooler with a cup of
Yeah.
tea, feeling, yeah, like feeling a bit more
Yeah.
British,
Maybe that's what it
almost.
was. I don't know what it was. But yeah, I think I needed to really get into the mood of it. And now that it's really cold and dark and
Mm.
dreary and angsty and blah. Yeah, winter's not my favorite, unfortunately. Unlike you.
Yeah, but you have to get it ready before Christmas because then
I
comes the
know,
next
right?
mood
Yeah, but
change.
at least it's winter, so that usually helps with the overall mood, I guess.
Yeah.
But sorry, let me get back to my point. Which I forgot what the point was. But what was my point? Yeah. So anyway, with Fatal, like I think
But you made
yeah,
progress, and
yeah,
that is
yeah,
the
I guess that was
point.
the point. So at the end of the day, NaNoWriMo, oh yes, I remember my point. NaNoWriMo this year, November 2023, it kind of really helped me to get me really back into the mood and to actually want to finish this darn book, which is good because I put a
Mhm.
deadline and that's December. Yeah, and the word count though, that's the only thing that kind of is, mm, but do you feel like you need the word count, Yvonne, in order to make sure that this book actually has like a legit amount of quality that you want to share, or is it more like the amount of sentences you write?
No, because the the first draft has no quality.
Thanks.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, but there will be, of course, scenes that will make it from the
Right.
first one. But when you look at the entirety of it, it's not
Mm.
high quality, and you have to
Yeah,
say that,
yeah,
don't
for
you?
sure, for sure. 'Cause for sure.
See.
Sometimes I feel like I'm repeating myself too.
Otherwise, I would already have my chapters so that I can read them from your fatal.
That's very true. Do you have moments when you just kind of repeat yourself sometimes, though, when you're like, you just want to repeat the same chapter but write it in a different way or an alternative way? Because that's what I usually sometimes do. I can't choose sometimes.
I do that with the very first ones. I do that with the very first ones.
You mean the first draft?
Yeah, no, with the first chapters, when I'm not sure that the pace is right or the point of view is right, or the time or something else. If it's
Right.
then I rewrite it. I rewrite the twins so often. I always come
Ah,
to that. I have now, I think, 3 versions of the first 7 chapters, and I just needed to put it away for a bit because I was not
right.
getting anywhere. So
Hmm.
yeah,
I see, I see. That's interesting. So that happens to you every so often when you write a new story? Because
yeah.
for me, it's actually like writing a story and then I kind of write alternate scenes of the same scene. I don't know. Something about it sometimes, especially endings. Sometimes I kind of rewrite it in a different way.
In the first draft, I rushed through the ending,
Hmm.
and then like the one I finished for Red Book, that was fine because it was going back to the beginning of the book,
Hmm.
so I could connect the parts. But when I was writing Laura's first draft, I was just writing, okay, this is the speech bit, and everything else I will fill in later.
Right, right, right.
The last 2 chapters are just conversations.
I see, I see. Yeah, but as long as it makes sense and you can come back to it later. Sometimes I'm almost afraid
Yeah.
of touching a particular scene because I don't want to ruin it. It's like this little piece, a part of me that's a bit of a perfectionist. And then I start to kind of like
Yeah.
procrastinate on occasion.
See, what I can't do is writing them out of order. So when I
Oh,
come to a scene that I was really looking forward to, I write that faster, while others I dread and I get slower during that time. But I just can't skip ahead. It doesn't work.
okay. So just so everyone kind of understands our particular way of writing, you just said that you write it in order. So that means you don't skip around.
Yeah. No, I write from chapter 1 to finish.
I see. I'm the opposite. I'm writing chapter one or chapter 20 something or like the ending and then jumping around again. It's like the way I do it with video editing, where I go back to the beginning,
Yeah.
back to the end, back to the middle. And if it's only when it's like, when it makes sense that I would actually start from the start all the way to the end, which is really funny when you think about it that way.
I wonder if I would do that with a standalone.
Mm,
But in a series, for example, Moira, it has so many timelines in it, and I feel like, okay, now I need to finish this particular book then from start to finish, because this needs to make sense and it also needs to align with the other timelines. If I skip around it, I can skip around between the books, but I can't skip in the book itself because I would get mad. I wouldn't know when has a change in the character already happened, because usually you plan that out. You know when the moment comes that changes your character. But my changes are not okay in that are not drastic in one moment. They already seep through the story, and and characters, well, I don't know if all characters are like that, but my characters are in that way a bit annoying. I love them,
mm,
but it's like family. They can annoy you, but you love them anyway.
right.
Um, but they always do their own thing. So if I plan the whole thing through, it can be, nah, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. And then if I would jump around in the scenes, they would never be in that scene because they went way off and did something completely different.
I see, I see.
So we make a promise to each other in the beginning of the book. Okay, let's go this way together, no matter where we completely go off board.
I see, I see. Sorry, a little bit off topic, but I think
No,
you
it's
were
fine.
asking me a question earlier about our process as to how we edit. Did I actually answer you? I feel like I didn't actually answer you.
I said I said it would be fun to find out how you will edit,
Oh yeah.
because you're still writing that first draft, so
True.
you might not know exactly what your editing style will be.
Right, that's true. Sorry, I feel like I didn't answer you, so I figured I'll come
No,
back
it's
to
fine.
that too, which might answer, yeah, like the whole process that you were just kind of like essentially telling me, and it'll be interesting as a comparison, I guess. Yeah, I mean, what I have so far is I use Apple's Notes, and then I just kind of write everything down. I have a Word doc on Google as well, but that kind of is sort of annoying right now because I can't immediately just go to the chapters directly. I have to kind of log in and then go through all these processes and
Mm,
it puts me out. So I just go directly onto
mm,
the notes. And then in the notes, I usually have profiles, and then there's chapters that are specifically first person related. So it would go to four characters, the main four characters that are involved in Fatal. And that in that particular chapter, sometimes I would edit out words while I'm writing it, or when I'm rereading it, I would be like, "Oh, this
mm,
sucks," and then I would and then I would edit it. And that seems to be my process right now when it comes to writing anything. But
mm,
that's probably going to change after I finish the whole thing, because I know for a fact that after I finish writing the point of views of each of these characters, I have to intertwine them and maybe make certain chapter intervals that would go from Act 1, maybe even Act 2 and 3. So I kind of
mm.
almost I have this visual in my head where there's the book cover and then there's three chapters, and then I already have like a how'd you call it? It's like an index, I guess, where the index will
Mm,
say like, oh, this point of view is from this. This only includes this particular couple and then goes back to this
yeah.
couple. So yeah, that editing process is also going to be really fun, and I'm actually looking forward to the editing part, even though I love the writing part too. The writing is actually kind of excruciating. Sometimes I can't visually get all of my ideas down on
Mm.
not paper, but down on computer, and that actually frustrates me more than the actual perspective of editing, which is really weird. Maybe because I'm a video editor,
Mm.
that's how I feel.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe editing is already more natural to you, but then you have to get that first thing out.
Yeah, and that's been taking years.
And in editing, you get the raw material from someone else.
Yeah, that's another thing because usually I rely on the actual material that's already been created and then kind of edit,
Mm.
or sometimes if I create something, then I kind of overthink everything and but then,
Yeah.
yeah. But overall, NaNoWriMo was really fun, challenging, but fun.
Yes.
And you got a prize.
Yeah, I got a prize. I'm really shy about it this year.
That's a good thing, though.
It's not my first time that I won it, but it's not really. Well, it's not, yeah. Um, but what you said about the notes reminded me of the program that because I challenged myself this year to write the 50K because I wanted to get that because I wanted to get myself Scrivener.
Right.
And that what you sometimes ask me what Scrivener is about. And
Hmm,
this is exactly that. You can make an index of all your chapters. And if you want to search something, you're not going through an entire program. You just click on the chapter. You
right,
have profiles for every character. You can put pictures in it. You can put your researchers in it.
right.
Everything is in that one place. And yeah, you can do that in Word as well. But knowing Word, it crashes a lot.
Right.
And Scrivener doesn't have that. It's like when you have your whole library, but it's in one doc. It's in one program.
Right. I see. That's cool though. I guess I don't really need that because I seem to have a good place to
Yeah,
write it in. But I totally get you. Like, I think that's a really cool way to actually get all of your ideas put
I had
together in one single place.
I had it differently before and have several folder structures on my computer.
Hmm.
But when I sink into that and search for something, I usually get sidetracked with something
Right. Yeah. It's really
because
about
I've
focus.
stored so much in it. I store the entire universe in it, while in Scrivener I currently have just one book prepared,
Mm.
and it's not all of it. So I'm not getting, okay. So I'm checking out the twins today. Oh no, I'm getting sidetracked by the Dark Prince. Damn it.
That's true. I mean, some of these characters really need attention, you know. They just really want
Yeah.
your attention.
Some of them you want more attention to them than I currently give.
Yeah, or sometimes it's even not even the characters, but it's the story too. You kind of are in that particular
Mm,
mood when you start to want to go into the other characters' like stories instead of the one that
yeah,
you promised yourself you're gonna finish writing, and that can
yeah.
be challenging on occasion. Because sometimes, before I actually got into the mood of Fatal, I was really in the mood of Absolute Night, with the cyberpunk and also like
Mm-hmm.
the whole dark dystopian vibe that I was really going through. But for some funny reason, that stopped after I really thought, like, this is a emotional crisis I was going through that actually really helped. But I was like, okay, so Anna, you have been trying to write this book from 2020. When is this book actually going to be finished? When are you going to be able to get this on paper, either in hardcover and paperback, if you don't finish the darn thing? Was the internal thought that came through my mind, and then I had like an emotional crisis
I'm
after.
so glad that was your internal thought right now because I was sitting here. Oh no, she's questioning me, and I have no answer to that, and I feel bad.
Oh no, no, no. I wasn't questioning you or doubting your abilities or anything like that. It was more of me because I really had this little crisis where essentially I was like, in 5 years' time, is this book still gonna be in my head and not out there? And then that devastated me. And then that really just
I
motivates
think
me.
I think what you just said just spoke to me because we all go through this,
Yeah,
and it's glad that you then sat down and pushed yourself through it.
trying.
You might still need you might still need a break after the first draft and get away from it and
Yeah,
turn your focus onto something else.
true,
But it will be there.
true. At least it'll be there, so it'll be waiting for me to
Yeah.
edit the heck out of it. That's so true. And I hope that's really going to be the case, in terms of all of our stories. I really see our stories being on bookshelves and being sold and in glitter, hopefully.
That is not 100% true because so often you tell me, my books are just going to be on Kindle. Keep the bookstore because I want them to stand next to each other.
Oh, you know, sorry, maybe I didn't speak well, but I do want them in book formats, but if I were to carry them, that's when I want it to be in Kindle. Because I actually have ideas for book covers and art and how I want limited edition copies to look. And I'm like thinking too far ahead in situations where it's probably not going to happen yet. But think ahead, dream ahead. That's usually what's going to happen. Actually, visualize what you really want, right?
Hmm.
So
That's what you taught me. Dream big, and yeah.
hopefully,
Yeah,
even if
we
it
will see.
even if it doesn't come to fruition, at least it's in your head, and that usually seems to help me anyway. So,
It's not only in your head anymore because you have written all these words already,
hmm,
and there will only be more words. And then
true.
it's and as soon as you start this process, it's no longer just in your head.
Yeah,
You have something to show. Even though right now you might not be so proud of the first draft, or in your case, it's not actually finished.
that's
But
true.
every word that is already there on paper, you've done that. That is something to be proud of.
That's very
No one can
true.
take that away from you.
Yeah, that's so true. That is, yeah, that is so true. We should probably put that on a wall somewhere. And that really is like a really good motivating series of words there. And
I'll
hope
get into wall decoration when I moved.
hopefully that would actually be written on your Goodreads profile. because you know how when you open some of the classic writers, you can see the quotes that people
Mm,
have spoken or they wrote from their
yeah.
character's voice and stuff, and some of them were like, "Oh, that's wall worthy." Like literally print that on a wall and print it out and yeah. Anyway, off topic, but yeah. Oh, before we do that, since we mentioned that we wanted to kind of mention our tidbit about what's coming up or what is
Yeah.
going to happen, since this is our last episode, I think, in December, unless we actually decide to push
Well, last
something in.
episode
But
this year.
oh
We
yeah,
still come back
oh
in
yeah,
2024.
oh yeah, yeah, that's true. Not the last
We're not saying
episode.
goodbye now.
Sayonara, adios, bye bye. That's true. This is the last episode in
Yeah.
2024. So we were mentioning
No, in
before.
2023.
Oh wait, 2023. Oh geez, sorry. My head is already in the future. See, dystopian. Anyway, yeah. So we were saying like, oh, we wanted to kind of mention what's coming up for our lives. So you want to start first, Yvonne?
Yeah, I kind of already said. So
Oh yeah, that's true.
I'm flying to Germany next week.
Yeah,
So I will be in Germany throughout December,
that's
getting some holidays, getting some rest, getting some family time.
awesome. I'm excited for you. I'm excited for the fact that you get to see your family and say hi to everyone there. It's gonna be fun.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And before that, I have some stuff to do today. So there will be a new newsletter and my first video vlog for just my stuff,
Good
which I have
luck.
decided is not. In the beginning, I wanted to just be Kent, but I will embrace doing it for all three, but in one go and not having it on three different platforms.
Ah. Oh wait, hold on. So I didn't. I don't think I got that. So
I will do a,
yeah.
I will do a Kent video vlog on how my writing is going,
Oh
but I
right.
will mention stuff from Edith and Ria
Ah.
in that as well.
Ah. I see you. I see. Ooh.
So when I very first time came up with the pen names, I thought I will not connect them and they will be their own thing and no one should know that I'm the other people as well, but I've changed that now.
I see. I see. I see. So you're comfortable with it being combined together then?
We're still not under one name,
Hmm.
but that it's all part of it. And
Right.
yeah, and if it takes too long on one pen name to write and finish something, just check out the other if you want to.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
Because I notice I sometimes I can't manage to be online on all three of them every single day because some days you focus on that one, some days on another one,
Hmm.
and always and you lose a lot of your viewership during that time because that's the internet
Right.
and that's the algorithm as well.
Yeah.
And I just thought I don't want to explain that all the time. I just say, hey, I'm just on someone else at the moment. It sounds a bit like a split personality, but yeah, that's business.
Yeah, like the movie Split with James McAvoy. Oh, maybe not that kind of split. Anyway.
Yeah, well,
Yeah. You don't
we
have a
will see if
crazy
I turn
aunt?
into a monster.
Yeah, that's true. By the way, when you said, but hey, the minute you said, but hey, I was like, ah, that song, the one that was so popular back in the day came onto my head. For copyright reasons, I shouldn't be singing it, but I think it went along the
Okay.
lines of, I just met you, and this is crazy, or
Oh,
something
that
like
one. Yeah, yeah,
that. Anyway,
yeah.
oh
Okay,
man.
and now your news.
Oh yeah, okay. So I am
Because I'm so excited for you.
thank you. I'm excited to say that I'm meeting Tom Hiddleston at Tokyo Comic Con. I'm so excited. It'll be the second time, which I'm very, 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 very lucky to have this moment even in my lifetime because I didn't even think I would be able to meet him the second time. So this is gonna be so cool. I'm so excited.
That would be so awesome.
Yeah, and especially after the
So
finale.
after the present, you said you're going to give him a present of stuff, and I think it will have to do with a lot of Loki and maybe other characters. Have you ever considered giving him something of Fatal?
I don't know. I mean, I kind of just want to be a little bit humble about it. What
Yeah.
I'd rather, and it's not just Tom Hiddleston or any celebrity generally. For me, I'd rather someone finds out my stories either
Mm.
because I just happen to be blabbing about it, or if they actually find it on their own and it's something that interests them,
Yeah.
if that makes any sense. So I'd rather not go through this
It's
that
just
way. But yeah.
it's just because we talked about it before of when you asked me what would you do and who would you pick as a audio.
Oh yeah.
If you had the choice of any actor in the world, who would you pick as an audio narrator for your books?
Yeah, there is.
And I wonder, because you really like listening to Tom's narration, I wonder, would that be your choice?
Yeah, I mean, if I had all the choices in the world, I would probably. But at the same time, there's this little part of me that would be like, I love this particular actor, but then it needs to like there's this little casting director in my
Yeah,
head that's
branch
like,
out.
yeah, that's like, no, 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 you shouldn't be choosing because of your favorites. It has to actually match with the story that you're writing.
Yeah.
So, don't know about that, but at the end of the day, my favorite actor is Tom Hiddleston, so I'm really excited, and I'm planning on writing a letter. And I'm having trouble writing the letter though because I don't want to. I don't want to put everything in. If that makes any sense. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, no, some letters are hard to write, and when they have so much, when you have put so much of yourself in it.
It's so
It's not
strange.
like a letter between you and I where we just talk rubbish and at the end we just sit there laughing about what the other person was writing.
Yeah, exactly. Because for one thing,
Also,
yeah.
we have the problem that we sit there. Do I even open it because it has such a nice um, wax seal and I don't want to break it? So let's open the letter at the other end.
Oh man, speaking of wax seals, so it's a funny story, or I don't know, I just think it's funny. Yesterday, I was procrastinating for the longest time, but I
Yeah.
finally opened my oven bake clay that I had been brainstorming to make into a mold to
Mm-hmm.
put um to make it so that it will be a wax, not max, wax seal. So, sorry,
Yeah.
visually speaking, I literally had the TVA, which is the character, sorry,
Mm-hmm.
the location where everything happens pretty much in the Loki series, and
Yeah.
I had that, and I stamped it on the oven bake clay, burned it in the actual oven, and then now it actually legit exists. Although it looks kind of really bad and awfully like a really, yeah. Anyway, it looks really weird.
Mm.
It looks like a bone. I freaked my mom out because she's like, "Oh my F, it's a bone." She freaked out. Yeah, it was the most funniest thing ever. I'm like, it's not a bone." Anyway, yeah. So I was like, finally, I got a wax seal that I can use to put the TVA on the actual letter that I'm putting the wax seal on. So that should be exciting, but at the same time, I don't want to mess it up.
That sounds fun.
We'll see if it actually works, though. I'm not too sure. We'll see. Fingers crossed.
But I'm more excited for the Fatal wax seal.
Oh, that's true. If I had all the time in the world, I would actually learn how to make metal stuff. Seriously. I would literally love to go there and actually make all these metal stuff.
Authors learn so many other things at the same time. Like I've read about two authors now who learned how to fight with swords so
Ah.
that they could actually describe this in the book better.
Oh,
So they learned that, and we do so many researches for other things. I think we have a lot of knowledge for when it comes to something, and if you want to delve into the metal thing, why not?
yeah, that's so true. And that's so funny you mentioned that because,
But that makes me really worried for one of your
oh, which
projects,
one?
maybe
Oh,
two.
really? Which one?
but we were talking about death, so a lot of people characters dying, and we talked before the podcast about what's that show again?
Which one?
The one that you almost signed up for.
Oh yeah. Which I kind of like went through like a minute of a thought process, and then I'm like, nah. It's called Squid Game: The Challenge, which is like the reality show that's up on Netflix right now. Yeah. So about that. Sorry.
Yeah. So don't go this way. Don't learn how to do death things.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Don't learn how to be an assassin, mate, basically.
Ironically, when you mention that, and I'm sorry, this is a bit of a spoiler, but actually in the show, it's not really about death. It's more a psychological thing about who can trust who, which is really intriguing because it's a reality show and it's even more scarier than the actual show itself. And I'm like, wow, I'm so glad I didn't sign up for that because that would have been so heartbreaking. But at the same time, the show is really compelling.
We are going to be doing all these things, writing mainly, but also seeing Tom Hiddleston, one of us, and the other one is seeing family. And then we to come back to you in January, unless someone of us has to move countries in January. We'll keep you updated on that one.
That's true.
And
it's either that or there's gonna be.
We can guess who that one is.
Yeah, that's true. Or you never know, we might suddenly become millionaires, and life will change completely.
Well, you're a step closer now that Fatal is on the way.
Same goes for you. I mean, you wrote 50K, so
Yeah, but not on one project.
Yeah, that's true.
It's several of them. It's all split over, so none of it is actually ready.
They only have one half, but still, it's progress. So
it's progress. That is true. So we wish you a happy Christmas, happy Hanukkah, whatever you're celebrating. There's so many things, especially in this time of year, that every faith and everything else have something to celebrate. And if you don't, you can make it a special day. Friends of my parents are going to the cinema on Christmas Eve because they don't want to have anything to do with it all. And at that time, your cinema is empty and you have it all for yourself. Meaning also you get all the popcorn and can be as loud as you want.
That's true. That's really nice, actually. I love empty cinemas, especially in the mornings, and then there's a lot of popcorn that you can actually eat, and it's freshly popped. Cinemas are my favorite places to actually be in and brood. That's so true.
Well, there you have your idea now. Maybe make that as a tradition.
That's true.
Maybe go with your mom to the cinema.
Or yourself. I usually go on my own.
I'll be going with my nieces to Wish.
True. Wish is coming out. I'm so there for the villain. I just love the villains. Like, I can't wait for the villain song. Anywho.
Well, I'm going with your nieces, yeah? We can focus on something else.
Yeah, that's true. Thanks so much for listening, guys. Until the next one.
Thank you, and the next one.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye-bye.